Hello YouTube, it's Blake back with another video, and I was kind of just sitting there thinking, as a new YouTuber, I don't know what to make a video on. So I figured, why don't I just make a video on my life, day one till now. So here I go, let's start from day one, the day I was born. I was born in Portland, Oregon, February 19th, 1996. I was born into a family of, you could say, druggies. My birth parents were druggies. My mom was on all kinds of drugs. She was an alcoholic. And because of that, when she was pregnant with me, she did all these kinds of drugs. And when I was born with several birth defects. One of them is I am partially cross-eyed and I have a lazy eye. My height is defected. I am 5'6", 5'7", an average adult male. American adult male should be about 6 foot, somewhere around there. My weight is 145, and throughout almost my whole life, all the way till freshman year, I was probably around 95 and less. After my freshman year, I really hit the growth scale, I guess you could say, and I really gained a lot of weight. I was only with my birth parents for about 2 weeks, and I was sent to an adoptive family. The state of Oregon actually took me from my parents because my parents were not safe. They weren't, I don't know how to describe it, they weren't safe to raise me. So the state legally took me. They had no say in it whatsoever. So the state of Oregon took me and put me in a foster care home. And I was in a loving, caring, amazing foster home. I don't remember any of it. I was there for 2 years on a farm, and because of that, I love a lot of farm animals now. I kind of remember some of being on the farm, but not a lot. After 2 years of being on the farm and adopted family, I was adopted into an amazing, loving family with 2 older sisters at the moment. My oldest sister is 4 years older than me, and my second sister is 2 years older than me. I was in that family for about a year, 2 years, until we adopted my little brother out of another family. He is autistic, and his birth mom, he was also born in Portland. His birth mom had too many kids, and a lot of them were all autistic as well, so she couldn't take care of him either. So the state legally took him, put him into a foster care, and he was adopted into our family as well. I'm gonna skip ahead to kindergarten, elementary school. And ever since day one in kindergarten, because of my birth defects, I was slow at learning. I had ADHD and some learning disabilities, also talking and reading. So ever since kindergarten, I have constantly been in other classrooms. I was always leaving the main classroom to go do other stuff, to get extra help on reading, extra help on writing, extra help on math, even speaking. All the way to I think 4th grade, I was in a special class to learn how to speak English, really. I'm an American, but because of my birth defects, I had to go to those classes. From kindergarten to about 5th grade, wasn't too hard for me. Again, I had a lot of ADHD, so that affected my grades a lot. I wasn't you don't really get graded in elementary school, I guess. But I always had troubles. I was always getting into trouble. This, I don't know the reasoning behind, but I was a horrible kid. I will have to admit that I was a horrible kid when I was younger. I was constantly stealing. I was rude to other people. Mostly, the biggest part of me being a horrible kid was stealing. And that I can probably talk about a little more on. And that was from kindergarten to 5th grade, even beyond 5th grade, all the way till my freshman year in college. I was still stealing. By now, I'm not stealing. I learned my lesson the hard way, and I will make another video about that. From 5th grade to 8th, I know I'm skipping around a lot, but I didn't want to make a huge, long video. From 5th grade to 8th grade was pretty hard for me. Even kindergarten to 8th. I was bullied, I was picked on, and I was definitely, you could call me the runt of the class. I was in the same elementary school for 8 years. Granted, 4th grade I was homeschooled. I decided that my mom wanted to homeschool me, and look how that went. Oh no, sorry about that. I moved in with my grandma. School wasn't going good. I was getting bullied a lot. Also because of my stealing and stuff. Me and my mom did not have a good friendship, relationship at all. So me and my mom were constantly fighting. So my mom was going to put me in a boys' farm, which is pretty much a school for just boys. It's a behavior school, pretty much teaches you how to behave better. And my grandma pretty much put her foot down, and it was like, no, that's not happening. He is not going into a boys' farm. So I moved in with my grandma, and I lived with my grandma, my dad's mom, for about 3 months. So about Halloween, about 3 weeks before Halloween till Christmas, because Christmas break was when I moved out. And living with my grandma was pretty fun. I loved my grandma a lot. She's definitely one of my role models. She inspired me to do a lot of things in life, and she was always there right next to my side to help me when I needed help. And when I wasn't feeling good, she was always right there to help me. So then Christmas comes around, and I move out of my grandma's house. And I moved back in with my parents. And I start going back to the school that I originally went to, Wolport Elementary. So I get back, and really no difference. I'm the same person, same school, same everything. I really didn't change a lot. Granted, I like the school in Dallas, Oregon a lot better where I lived with my grandma. So I get back to the school, and the bullying keeps going. And because of all the bullying, it affected me a lot in a lot of ways that affected my schooling. If you've ever been bullied, you know what it's like. It sucks. It really tears you down, and it really beats you down. But because of that, I've learned so much in life that I can help other people. And this bullying happened all through grade school. All through grade school, all through middle school, all the way, K through 8th. Every single day, every single month, year, second, I was getting bullied through those times, which did not help my schooling at all. So then we get to 5th grade, and my mom decides that she wants to homeschool me. And I'm like, okay, I kind of just wanted to get away from the bullying. So I was like, yeah, I'll try homeschooling for a little bit. So I tried homeschooling, and I didn't really like it a lot. It wasn't horrible, but I kind of missed some of my actual kind of friends at school. I kind of missed being around people, because where I lived, there wasn't a lot of people around my house. And again, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have any friends, actually. so I didn't go and hang out with people. So I was like, after about 3 months of being homeschooled, I was like, I want to go back to regular school. So my mom re-enrolled me into school, went back to school. A year later, the bullying got so bad. I remember 6th grade year, I remember sitting in the car crying and telling my mom I wanted to be homeschooled again because of the bullying. So my life being bullied was not good at all. I was probably the most bullied kid, hands down, at my elementary school, and it was horrible. It was probably the worst experience, but because of the experience, again, I learned a lot in life. So I get homeschooled again, and this time it was actually pretty fun because more kids started to move into the area where I live, so I was actually able to hang out with people. But the only thing that sucked about this homeschooling was the program I went through. And the program was called K through 12. And it's an online homeschool program. I met the teacher. We did 3 or 4 field trips. We went to the state capitol in Oregon. And we did some other things. But the main reason I stopped this homeschooling was because of the work. I was in 5th grade and they were giving me work for like 6 grades above me. For history, my dad is a history teacher at a high school. And the history they were giving me for the 5th grade homeschooling school, my dad saw it because I had no clue how to do it. And he's like, why are they giving you this kind of history? You don't even learn this history until you're in 12th grade. And I was like, yeah. And then he looked at some of my English work and some of my other work. He's like, yeah, you're getting all high school work. Like, what is this program teaching you? And by now, I was starting to fail the program because I didn't know anything. My parents barely even knew anything that they were teaching me. So I was just like, you know what, I'll just go back to school. I started to miss school a little bit more. So I was like, you know what, I'll just go back to school. So I went back to school, and bullying it didn't change, really. It was still the same. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade year, 6th grade year, I guess got a little better. I decided to do a thing called teacher aide. And pretty much teacher assistant, I guess you would call it, in most schools. You go and you assist a teacher in a smaller grade. And I was in 6th grade. And around 6th grade was when I kind of started to develop that I like helping people. So I talked to one of my teachers. I'm like, hey, would there be any way that I could assist a teacher in something? And they're like, yeah, we could look around. And my favorite teacher is a kindergarten teacher. And she was my favorite kindergarten teacher. And she's like, well, I need a teacher assistant. Would you be able to come in and help? I'm like, yeah, definitely. I would love to assist you. Like, you're my favorite teacher. I would do anything for you. So I started assisting her, and I loved it. I loved helping the kindergartners. It was fun to just see them develop skills and just learn so much through them. They definitely, for as young as they are, they definitely taught me a lot. And this was around mid 6th grade. So then we get to 7th grade, and 7th grade, I don't think I did a teacher assistant that year. That year was, man, I can't remember my 7th grade year too much. Other than because it was a middle school, I was in a small middle school. I was in a town of like 2,000 people, so middle school 7th and 8th graders were combined together, which was a total of maybe 40 something kids, just 7th and 8th graders. So there wasn't a lot of kids. So the teachers, there were 2 8th grade teachers, 2 7th grade teachers, but the 7th grade, some 7th graders were 8th graders, and some of the 8th graders were down in the 7th grade classes because they might have flunked a class or something. And there were 2 7th grade classes and 2 8th grade classes. And the 7th grade classes would combine, and like all the kids would like get mixed up depending on like what level. They're like 2 different level math, 2 different level readings, 2 different levels for each subject. And that was the same for the 8th graders. sometimes 3, because a lot of the 7th graders in my class went up to the 8th grade programs because they were a lot smarter. Some of the 8th graders were dropped down to the 7th grade levels because they honestly weren't smart at all. And my 7th grade teacher got pregnant. So she left to have her baby, and we got stuck with a sub. This was actually really interesting. So we had this sub for about, I have to say, about a month before he got fired. Nobody knows. I think one student knows why he got fired, and that's it. Other than that, no other student knows why he got fired. He just left one day. So we got a new sub. We had this sub for about 4 months. This sub was very, very bipolar. He did not know what he wanted. He would constantly yell at the kids for doing something, and then like 2 minutes later, he'd yell at them for not doing it. It's like, what are you talking about? I remember one situation where we were sitting there, and I was being annoying. Me and some of my buddies were sitting at a table, and we were being annoying. We were just sitting there talking, laughing, and screaming. Regular 7th grade bullcrap. And the teacher walks up, and he's like, Blake. And I can't remember the other kid's name. Some kid that I've never talked to since 7th grade. And he's like, you guys shut your mouths right now. And this was like an older teacher. He was kind of an asshole. So he was just didn't want to put up with anybody's stuff. So you guys knock that stuff off right now. We're like, okay, fine. So he's like, Blake, turn around right now. And there was I was at one desk, and there was a desk right behind me against a wall, just like with a bunch of books on it. So I turned around to that, and I started to read books. And in 7th grade, because that was a really weird year for me, I decided to get in a lot of trouble, and just like, I was a prick. I was a huge prick my 7th grade year. So I decided to take all the books and lay them all out. Kind of throw, because a lot of them ended up on the ground. And the teacher's like, what are you doing? You're creating a commotion, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, and all the other stuff. Why are you being such an ass? And I'm like, I'm not being an ass. I'm just like laying out all these books. Just like being an asshole, really. So he's like, pick those books up now. And I'm like, okay. So I start picking them up. He's like, and literally like 3 seconds after he told me to pick them up, I start doing it. And he's like, stop doing that now. You're creating a distraction. And I'm like, you just told me to pick up the books. Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, sit there and do nothing. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just sit here and do nothing. Literally a minute after him doing that, he walked over. Why aren't you doing anything helpful? Blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. You made a huge mess of those books. Pick them up now. And I'm like, you just told me not to touch the books, and I'm creating a distraction. What do you want me to do? He's like, pick up the books now or go to the office. I'm like, I guess I'll pick up the books. Like, come on, dude. Pick what you want me to do. So I finished picking up the books, and from that day out, I don't think he was just an asshole to me, really. I can't remember that day, really. Other than that, 7th grade year, that teacher. I'm finished what happened to that teacher. About a month after that, that teacher walked past a girl in my class and touched her sexually. Ended up grabbing one of her breasts. So she went to the principal, and he got fired. That's 2 subs now in 1 year. Both fired. So our class is like, what are we going to do? So we get another sub. This guy's a lot younger, a lot nicer. Nobody knew him. Funny thing is, this sub knew me, but I didn't know him at the moment. We had this sub for about a month and a half. And we're sitting there doing classwork, and I'm kind of being a smart aleck. And I say something smart alecky, kind of. And he's like, you better watch it, or I'll tell your dad. And he said it in a way like he knew my dad. And I was like, what are you talking about? You don't know my dad? He's like, yes, I do. I was like, wait a second, what? How do you know my dad? Like, he's like, your dad's Mr. Biddick, isn't he? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you're Blake Biddick. I was like, yeah? He's like, yeah, I know you. Your dad used to teach in Toledo, Oregon. I was like, yeah? He's like, yeah, your dad was one of my teachers. I was like, oh. Okay, so from that day on, I was perfectly good. I was like the greatest student other than my grades. I was always helping him. I was always offering a helping hand. And he was like, wow, after I told you that, you really shaped up. I was like, yeah. I knew my dad would have beat my ass if you were the one to come tell him that I was being an asshole to you. So I ended up failing. I didn't fail something. I don't think you can fail something unless you get all Fs. I did manage to pull 3 Fs and 2 Bs. I ended up managing to pull B in math, but an F in like reading and stuff. Mostly in the class that I had the 3 subs in, just because that was a really rough year. 7th grade was probably the roughest school year of my life because I had 3 different subs. So different teachers teach different ways, so I was getting taught things differently every time, and I don't learn quickly. So 3 different ways to do 3 different things. It's like my head was just spinning. I kind of can feel it right now. It was one of the worst moments ever. So I got grounded in between my 7th and 8th grade year. I got grounded for that whole summer. Actually, I think I was actually supposed to spend the whole summer with my grandma in Salem, but I ended up getting grounded. Near the end of that summer, my dad is the football coach for the high school football team, and I go and help him out. And there was a new kid, and I knew the area. I knew the football storage room really well. I knew where everything was. I knew how to like get stuff for people. I knew where the extra cleats were. My dad's like, hey Blake, go in the storage room and get this kid new cleats. I was like, okay, come in here and I'll get you new cleats. This guy's 2 years older than me. So we get in there and I show him the cleats and everything. Ask him what size. I look for the sizes and everything. And we sit there and we talk. And we're talking for about an hour, which is like almost all practice. We just sit there and talk about cleats. So I get him his cleats and everything, and we bonded really well. And he's like, would you want to come over to my house after practice? Because there's daily doubles. But even though I was grounded, I was doing like summer work, summer school, I don't know what to even call it. And I finished my work for the day. I had little like books with like math books, reading books, and some other books. And I finished my work for the day that I needed to get done. So I was like, hey Dad, can I go over to his house and hang out? He's like, do you get your work done? I was like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, you can go over to his house. So I go over to this kid's house. His name's Chris. And I meet his brother, his mom, his dad, and his grandma. His brother's name is James. And it's kind of an ironic part to this in 8th grade. So me, him, and his brother go in his room, and we sit there and play a bunch of video games. Of course, teenage boys, what else is there to do on a, like, I think it was like 80-something degrees that day on a weekend? Play video games inside, duh. So we sit there and play video games for about 3-4 hours until the second practice starts. Me and Chris walk down to practice, and James stays at the house because he was a weird kid back then, to be honest. So we walk back down to practice, go to practice. Then days go by, and it's the first day of 8th grade. And I walk in the classroom, and at least one of the schools, the school I went to, they would deliver breakfast to the rooms. And they would like trays. They had like a tray of milk, a tray of like cereal, some other things, and then like some days they'd have like a specialty breakfast, and it'd be like a big blue box. It was like something to keep your food warm. So I grabbed my breakfast. I sat down, ate it, talked to some of my friends that I kind of grew up with. I'm sitting there, and it's like 10 minutes before class starts. I look over, and Chris's brother is James sitting there. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's in 8th grade too. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go sit by him because he's new, and I've met him already, so I felt comfortable talking to him. Usually most new people I meet, I'm not comfortable around at all, just because of getting bullied and my antisocial life really started to kick in. So I sit down, I'm like, hey, James Blake, like, we met. He's like, yeah, I remember you. So we started to talk a little, and the class started, and since that day, I honestly don't think there was a single day where me and James did not sit next to each other anywhere. In every class, we sat next to each other, unless there was assigned seating in a certain class. So me and James became best friends. So 8th grade, so really kindergarten till 7th grade was horrible. Bullying constantly, getting picked on for my height, everything, age, because 1st grade, I want to go back a couple of years. The 1st grade, I actually got held back in 1st grade because of my grades and my attitude, because believe it or not, I got a lot of referrals in kindergarten, and after I tell you about my 8th grade year, I'll go back to kindergarten and try and remember how many referrals I got in each grade, because I got a sheet of paper my 8th grade year about referrals, and that I'll save for last for referrals, because that's a funny story. So me and James become really good friends, and we're doing like all these projects together through the year, and we do like all of our homework together. I'm constantly, every single weekend, I'm at his house doing homework with him, playing games, or biking around town, because we both loved biking, so we were always constantly biking around town, hanging out. We did sports together, we did track together, so we were always out doing stuff, constantly, always riding our bikes everywhere. So 8th grade was pretty easy for me and fun. I wouldn't say easy, never mind. It was a lot funner. The bullying nobody really wanted to pick on me because there was really no reason to. We were all starting to like mature more and actually get into like the non-bullying stages of our lives. So 8th grade was a pretty good year. For teachers, that year we had a teacher, two female teachers. One female teacher was a teacher my 7th grade year that I was pregnant. She was one of my teachers again. And then I had another female teacher that was really good friends with my dad because she was the assistant coach for the high school track team. So she knew my dad really well. My dad was the main head coach for the track team. So me and her got along really well. She loved Star Wars, and I love Star Wars too, so we got along really well. Granted, she wasn't as fair to me because she kind of expected a little bit more out of me, but she kind of understood my disability with learning and stuff. And then we had this one male teacher. This is when you could say, asshole stage came out of me. And this teacher was a prick too. He was the biggest prick I have ever met in my life, if not as big of a prick as Donald Trump, to be honest. And this teacher, for a while, for about first 3 months of school, he was chill. He was a big skateboarder fan, but he didn't really like me for some reason. And he started to kick into that. For like the 4th month, and like after Christmas, he really started to be an asshole to me, to where a teacher starts singling out a certain kid. That was me. He started to really single me out for everything. And it started out one day, some kid was walking by now, for some reason, they combined 7th and 8th graders. So 7th graders are taking 8th grade science, and 8th graders could be taking 7th grade science. Something like that. Something stupid. I don't understand it. I'm pretty sure I did back then, but I don't anymore. I don't really care. It's not my life anymore. And there was a 7th grader walking past. And we were pretty good friends. And I was like, oh, maybe it'd be funny if I tripped him. He had like a cup of water, like a little Dixie cup. So I was like, oh, I'll just trip him. So I tripped him. And he caught himself because we had like small, like single desks. So he like grabbed it, caught himself in the desk. So I was like, haha, funny, I'm an 8th grader, I'm an idiot. Yeah, that was a funny joke. And the teacher's like, Blake, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, walks up. And we had these little green tickets. And if you got 3 of these green tickets, you got a referral. It's like 3 warnings, 3 strikes, and you get a referral. Something stupid that our school had. I think they still have them, actually. Oh, man, this teacher was crazy. So, from there on, he stopped liking me. And the next time he got mad at me was, I was talking. And he's like, Blake, be quiet or come to the front of the class and tell the class what you're saying. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. He's like, what did you just say? I'm like, I said whatever, like, whatever, I don't care, I'll be quiet, I don't need to talk. He's like, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, you can stay in the classroom or go to the office. I was like, do you know what? Fuck you and fuck your class. I literally said that to my teacher. Took my shit and I threw it on the ground. I was like, do you know what? Your class is a waste of my goddamn time. Stood up, walked out. Walked straight to the office. I was like, the office is probably more educational than your class, so bye. He didn't see me for the next 3 days because I wasn't in school for the next 3 days. So that teacher did not like me. Also, in some classrooms when you get in trouble, there's like a trouble desk or something, timeout desk, I guess you would call it, 8th grade. And he put me at this desk for some reason. I wasn't even doing anything bad. He's like, I think you should just sit here now. And I was like, this was like my assigned desk for the rest of the year. I was like, what the hell? Like, why are you going to isolate me from the class? I already have learning problems. Why would you isolate me? It's not going to help at all. So I'm sitting there, and the kid that sat there, because there's another kid that has an assigned seat there, the class before me, wrote a swastika. I think that's what's called it. A Nazi sign, pretty much. And I honestly didn't even notice it. It was like in the top corner. And this teacher, again, hated me, loved to single me out. Example, after class, I stand up and leave. And he calls me back. Right after I leave, he walks straight over to the desk, starts checking it, making sure I didn't write anything. Comes right in the hallway. Blake, you need to come back to the classroom. I'm like, why? I got my homework. I got everything I need. Why do I need to come back to the classroom? He's like, you need to come clean this desk. I'm like, what the hell? No, I'm not going to clean your desk. Clean it yourself. That's your desk, your classroom. You clean it. You're probably the one that made the mess on there. He's like, no, there's a symbol on there that's racist. You need to come look at this now. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, what the hell? Again, I didn't notice this symbol at all until he pointed it out to me. Okay, so my last video, I think my SIM card ran out of memory, so I only have 10,373 minutes, megabytes, something like that. I don't know, so I'm going to try and finish this video. So he comes up to the classroom, asks me to come back in to clean the desk, so I go in the classroom. And I see the symbol, and I'm like, okay, I didn't do that. He's like, well, you were the only one that was sitting there. And I'm like, no, there was a kid sitting here before I came in. He's like, no, there wasn't. And he decided to just go off on this stupid, long, ranting thing on how I'm a horrible kid, and I would have been the one to do this. And I'm like, okay, whatever, dude, I'll clean the desk. So I clean the desk, and it takes me like 20 minutes to clean this desk, which is almost a whole class period. Because he didn't just make me clean the symbol. He made me clean the whole desk. The whole area that you work on. I was like, because it was like a double-decker desk. It was like the main part. And then you had like a little like kind of desk area up here as well. So, but he only made me clean the bottom part, surprisingly. So I get done cleaning it. I'm like, well, I'm late for class now. Can I get a note? He's like, no. You're late for a reason. Because you wrote that, so I made you clean it. So you can be late to class now. And I'm like, you've got to be serious. Like, whatever. So I go to class and get another green ticket. So that year, that teacher just wasn't nice to me at all. He did not like me. So I'm going to get into the referrals. So I'm just going to go through this part quickly. Kindergarten, I think I had 12 referrals. First grade, I want to say about 10. Second through fifth, I think altogether I had 6. Sixth grade, I had 2. Seventh grade, I think I had 24. And eighth grade, I ended up with 57 referrals before they gave me 1 day of out of school suspension. Crazy. I should have had I should have been expulsion by then. I should have been expulsion by 20 something referrals, but I don't know how I got away with so many referrals. I don't even remember being in the office 56 times. So we get to high school, and me and James are still really good friends. And freshman year was actually, high school was a breeze. It was actually, other than schoolwork, friends and everything, good. I actually started to make a lot of friends because my 2 older sisters went through the same high school. So all the older kids know me really well through my dad, because my dad's the teacher there too. Also, they were good friends with my sister, so I bonded with them really well. Also, the seniors that year were really good friends with my sisters, so I had my own protection from my own classmates, so I got some leeway there. So that really helped me throughout the high school year, that the older guys really knew me. Because I was held back in first grade, I kind of knew the people a grade above me. I was really good friends with a lot of them. I was heavily in sports in high school. I know I was an athlete in high school. I did football, basketball, track my freshman year. Sophomore year, I was the manager of the football team. Basketball, track. Junior year, I did football for about a month until I got a concussion. And I was like, yeah, I liked running. I ran a lot in track, so I was like, I'll try cross country. So I did cross country, basketball, track. Senior year, I really loved cross country. So I did cross country, and I'll talk about cross country later in another video. Basketball and track. And I'll actually talk about my sports adventures in another video. Look how much time I've left, 9,000 something. So, junior year comes around, and we're in an older high school, like down on a hill. Like, the elementary school is like up here on a hill because it's newer, and then the high school is down lower because it was built back in the 1957. So it's a really old high school. So sophomore year comes, and it's chill. Again, grades are actually going pretty good, pulling B's, C's. My high school year wasn't very adventurous, I guess you would call it. Not a lot really happened. Actually, I'm going to go back to freshman year. There was a senior that, her name was Olivia. I have an older sister named Olivia. My older sister actually graduated and was going to college at the moment. But this other girl named Olivia, I knew her really well because I knew her younger sisters, which are younger than me. So she adopted me in high school. So I was like her little brother, and she was my big sis. So she helped me a lot through my freshman year. She helped me a lot with homework. She helped me a lot with sports because she did basketball and track with me. So she was a really good role model, really good supporter, helped me through a lot. It was really fun hanging out with her. I had somebody to hang out with doing sports. She always backed me up. Even when I tried to pick on me, she was right there to back me up in school, everything. We always hung out. We always went to the beach together whenever she didn't have class. Even though I was a freshman, she'd just come take me out of class. She's like, oh, I need to see him for a little bit. She'd just take me out of class, and I'd get excused for it. The teachers liked me, so they didn't care if I skipped class or not. So sophomore year comes, and it kind of sucked because Olivia graduated. So then I didn't have any other seniors to really like look up to like role models like her. So I was kind of just on my own. I kind of just freestyled it and kind of just started to hang out with friends. Me and James are still really good friends, so we hung out a lot. Not much happened that year. Still getting in a lot of trouble. Still stealing. Not as much, but since freshman year, I'm going to go back to freshman year again. I started stealing. Freshman year, I actually got caught. I didn't get caught. I didn't get caught. I got ratted out by some of my fellow classmates. I actually stole something from a store, and they decided to come to the school and tell the school that I stole. I was like, why don't you just tell the store? But the store didn't even know, because my dad made me go back to the store and turn it in. But I'll make another video about that as well. So sophomore year, not much happened. Then junior year, we get a new high school, because the old high school was really old, falling apart. Funny story about this high school. I'll probably make another video about this as well. The roof was that. That was the roof. You know, modern day roofs are like that. This high school, like that. I don't know where the hell they make roofs like that. Anywhere. I don't even think they even make roofs like that anymore. I think our high school was literally the last building on earth to have that crappy of a roof. So because the roof was like that, imagine where all the water goes. Well, it was kind of like that, but it was like angled. That way the water could like flow off, but it still went into the roof. So it was like, what was the point of that? Like, so water would get into the roof and it would sit there, and the wood would soak it up. But the next day it'd be really hot. Where does all that water go? It can't go up. There's tiles in the way. Where does water go when it turns to liquid form? Down. So it started to leak into our school, and this has been happening for years now. So it would leak into the hallways. It would leak up to like a good inch. Sometimes we'd have buckets in the hallway. I think one time we had 15 buckets all lined down the hallway and water just dripping. And when you walk into the hallway, when you're the only person out there and it's quiet, all you hear is this: drip, 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 drip. You just hear all this dripping through the whole thing, and it was really loud too. Our old high school had one hallway. Here's the hallway, here's another one, and here's the gym. We just had one main hallway, and like the office was over here. Our cafeteria was a whole entire separate. The library was a whole entire separate thingy. The gym was all new. It was insane. It was definitely a weird looking high school. I've got to find some pictures of it and show you guys it, because it was, wow, it was an interesting high school. I've never seen anything like it. So junior year we get a new high school, and which kind of sucked, because everybody was like, oh yeah, we're in high school, we're away from the elementary school. The funny thing is, they built the new high school. Here's the elementary school, here's the high school. And they were combined together pretty much. So it was like, I was just in this school for 9 years, and I'm back up right next to it. Like, I wanted to get off this hill, but whatever. It is what it is. It worked out. I didn't die because I was on the same hill. It kind of sucked. I wasn't downtown, but I don't know. It was kind of nice to be up there. Junior year went pretty well. I turned 18 that year, and me and my mom still weren't getting along. It was even worse by now. Like, I was grounded constantly. I think the longest I was ungrounded my junior year was a day, until my mom turned around and grounded me for something else. And it was like something I honestly didn't even do. So I was like, okay, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm moving out. So when I turned 18, a week after I turned 18, I moved out into my best friend's house, James's house. So I lived with James from February like 23rd to like June 6th, I think, is June 15th is when school got out. And in between that time was weird. It was weird living on my own. And I'll make more videos on like adulthood and being on your own and independent, really. And it was nice to get out of my house. I was honestly a little homesick because it felt weird not being in my own home, but it felt nice at the same time, not constantly being yelled at every single day, every single second of every single day. But there was a problem. I was still an immature idiot. So I was still stealing, and I guess it went pretty well through the year. And then, man, I gotta remember what came first. I think me stealing from my local store came first. And they caught me this time. One of the employees was another really good friend of mine, and he kind of just watched me walk around the store. And I'll make another story about this. So pretty much I got caught from a store. The bad thing is, my friend that I was living with, his mom worked in that store. And about 2 minutes before I stole the stuff I did, I talked to her. So I almost just jeopardized her job for a 6-pack of tea. That's how stupid I was. So I got grounded at their house. I wasn't allowed to leave the house or go anywhere. March, April. This was in April. About 2 weeks after that, I go hunting with my uncle. Now, my junior year after I moved out of my house, I was hanging out with a kid called Chris Forcier, and he was a very immature loser. I probably shouldn't have been hanging out with him. Smoking a lot of pot, not drinking. I did not like drinking at all back then, not as much as I do now. Constantly out at night and stuff. He was hanging out with other kids that were bad influences, and because I was hanging out with Chris that was a bad influence, everybody thought I was a bad kid as well. I was doing bad things. So one morning I wake up at 5 o'clock and I leave with my uncle, and we come all the way down here pretty much to Coos Bay to go hunting. So from Wolport to Coos Bay, it's about a 2.5 hour drive. So later that day, while I'm in the woods hiking with my uncle, another kid's house in Wolport got broken into. So I'm like, I didn't know at all. I had no clue whatsoever that this happened. So I go hunting with my uncle, and I get back in Wolport at like 8 o'clock that night. When I get home, I eat something, shower, go to bed, wake up, go to school. School goes perfectly fine. First 4 periods, fine. Go to lunch. I'm sitting there at lunch, and a kid walks up, and he sits in front of me. He's like, so who did it? Actually, I'm going to tell you, I know I'm like almost all the way into the story. I'll make another video on this story too. I don't know really what I'm doing now. So, I get blamed for breaking into this kid's house, and cops I keep getting blamed for breaking into this kid's house. So finally I have to call the cops for harassment. And I'll explain more of that later. And my friend's mom had to help me with that. But another story, I'll make another video about. I gotta make a list of all these crazy stories of my life. So around May, it was really hot in my hometown, and I wanted to go to the beach. So one day at school, me and James get to school, because James has to drive us. I don't have my driver's license at the moment. James drives us to school, and I had another really good friend, Cody. And I walk up to Cody, I'm like, hey Cody, what do you want to go to the beach later today after school? He's like, yeah, definitely, like, call me after school and look what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, let me go ask James. He's like, yeah, definitely. So I asked James, like, hey James, would you want to go to the beach later today after school? He's like, yeah. So we go to the beach, and while we're at the beach, some kids are there, and they had 2 backpacks. No, they had a backpack, and they had 2 iPhones in it, 2 wallets. Each wallet, I think, one had like $25, and the other had like $2 in it. That stuff ended up getting stolen. And for the next month, police would constantly be at my friend's house looking for me. They would constantly be calling the house looking for me. And that was an insane story. And again, I'll make a video about that, because that still pisses me off to this day. And this is 2 years ago, because last year I found out that story was all made up, just so the kid could probably get new iPhones. So yeah. So junior year didn't go so well because of cops constantly be called, me stealing from my local store, the other kid blaming me for breaking into their house. My friend's mom and dad asked me to leave. So I was like, okay, fair enough. I didn't take it offensive because I was like, yeah, it was pretty rough. So yeah, I'll leave. Like, I'll look if I can move back to my parents. So I moved back to my parents, and I actually found a job while then firefighting. And I'll make another video about that. So I signed up for this crew, and pretty much this summer, I'm fighting fires. That's it. When I'm not fighting fires, I'm sitting at home. Doing nothing at all. Just sitting at home. Hanging out. I think I biked in town a couple times. Did some stuff. I can't remember that summer at all. So senior year rolls around. Well, the end of the summer comes and sports start. So I started training for cross country and everything. And because of wild then firefighting, a lot of hiking, a lot of leg work. My legs were a lot stronger, so I was actually faster in cross country. So I was a lot better at cross country. So things go on, and pretty much the beginning of my senior year wasn't too good. Again, me and my mom were still fighting. I was still supposedly stealing a lot at my mom's house, at my parents' house, and by my 19th birthday, she pretty much told me to get out. By spring break, so March, late March, she was like, you need to find a new place to live. So I was like, okay. I actually want to. I'm like, okay, thanks. That's my free ticket out of the house. Like, I don't have to do any extreme explaining. You just told me to get out. Bye. So I called my friend. I'm like, hey, dude, like, I was actually sneaking a cell phone from my house. I'll tell you a story about this, how I got this cell phone and why I did it, and my parents watched this video. I don't know what's going to happen there. So pretty much I had a cell phone, and my mom changed the Wi-Fi password. But I learned a thing where something called a WPS. And it's something if you press it on your phone, you press it on your Wi-Fi router, you're manually connecting your phone to your router. So I learned that. So I was able to get Wi-Fi. My mom didn't know about that. So I instantly messaged my friend, like, hey, my mom just kicked me out of my house, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, kind of live with you. And this was Saturday, the next day was Sunday. And on Sundays, I'm in a cadet firefighting program. And he's like, talk to me about it tomorrow. Most likely, yes. And I'm kind of thinking, wow, after last year, after your parents kind of kicked me out, I was surprised they'd say yes. So I go to the cadet program the next day, and he's like, here's my mom. She's on the phone. And I talked to her. She's like, yeah, let me come to the station and pick up James, and we can talk about it more then. So she comes to the station. I talk to her, and maybe this isn't Sunday because this is spring break that this all happened. So I think this was actually Monday that this happened. No, it was Tuesday that it happened, and Wednesday was the day I moved. Tuesday, my mom told me to get out. Wednesday was the day I talked to them and actually moved out. So I talked to my friend's mom. She's like, yeah, you can move out. Or my friend's mom was like, yeah, you can move in. Just there's going to be a lot more strict rules and everything. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like, it's going to be a lot better this time, which it was, actually. And I can probably make a video on both of the times that I lived at my friend's house. And so my dad comes and picks me up from my thingy. So I call him, like, hey, like, I'm gonna move out. Like, mom told me to move out, so James is I can't remember where James is taking me. We were taking a job off a friend, so I called my dad. I'm like, yeah, mom told me to pretty much get out of the house, so I'm gonna move in James again. My dad's like, what? Like, what the fuck? Seriously? He was a little frustrated and stuff, and I was like, yeah, we can talk about it more later. So he comes and picks me up and takes me to track practice, because we're in track season now. And we go to the track field, and I'm talking to him while we're driving up there. I'm like, I want to move out. Like, if you like it or not, like, I want to get out. Mom just told me to get out, so I'm getting out. So we drive home. I pack up all my stuff, throw it in my car, because I actually have my driver's license now and a car. So I throw it in my car, say bye to my dad. My mom's not home yet because my mom works in Florence. Get in my car, leave. Move with my friend again. Now, senior year was a lot. After I moved with my friend again, it was smooth. I had a best friend named Maya Barton, and she's still the greatest friend in my life, and I couldn't ask for a better friend, honestly. So she made my senior year a lot better after I moved out of my house. I hung out with her every single day. Honestly, if I wasn't hanging out with her, I was hanging out with a bunch of crazy friends in my senior class, or sitting at home playing video games and watching Netflix. That was, after I moved out of my house my senior year, I was hanging out with my best friend, watching Netflix, eating shrimp, or playing video games. One of those three, literally, or drinking soda. One of those three, if I wasn't doing one of those, I was probably sick that day, or I don't know what was wrong with me, or hanging out with crazy friends. That was my senior year after I moved out. It didn't consist of anything else, or sports. Because I was a sport addict. I still kind of am a sport addict. I kind of wish I would have done sports in college, but school comes first. So senior year after I moved out goes by pretty fast. It flies by like that. It still feels like I'm still a senior. Like, it flies by so fast. Graduation comes up and I'm passing all my classes A's and B's. I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, wow. I'm already here. I'm graduating. From kindergarten to here, like, I was always getting bullied and stuff, and like high school got better. And like, I've came to this, like, I know I'm not good at schoolwork, but wow, like, I'm at one of the biggest milestones of my life. Graduating hell. That's what I called it for a while. It was like, I'm graduating hell. Just, everybody has to admit, school was hell. It was bad. So I graduated high school, and some things went down to where I couldn't see my best friend Maya anymore. So summer sucked because I wasn't getting called out to fires because I rejoined the crew for fighting fires. I wasn't getting called out for fires. So I worked at a restaurant, which isn't the first restaurant I've worked. This would be the second restaurant I worked at, washing dishes and prep cook. Mostly prep cook, because wow, that restaurant was not a good restaurant. So I worked at this restaurant for about, also I was a volunteer at the fire station. So I was a volunteer at the fire station, I was at work at this place, and I was on call to fight fires. So I was running technically 3 jobs if you could count it, because being a volunteer at a fire station, I was still getting paid, plus I was getting a lot of calls. So, look how much time I have left here. 27,000 mega somethings. So I'm working at this restaurant, and I'm just like, they kind of just stopped calling me in for some reason. But I don't know why. I was one of their best work. I was, if not the hardest worker they have, right next to the cook. One day I got in and literally dirty dishes all the way to the roof. And I walked in, I was like, crap. This is going to take me literally like 4 hours to get done. 45 minutes later, no dirty dishes. The boss walks in, what the hell did you do with all the dirty dishes? Just throw them away? And I'm like, no, I just washed them all. And she's like, they're all clean? I'm like, yeah. She like checked all of them and they're all spectacularly clean. She's like, wow, you're a really hard worker. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a wildland firefighter. Like, nothing can be harder than fighting a wildland fire. Like, cleaning dishes is not that hard. Like, it's not that hard. Like, you can't be stupid to wash dishes. It's the easiest thing to do in life. She's like, go take a break now. And I'm like, I've only been here for 45 minutes. And she's like, I don't care. Just go take a break. Like, you did all that hard work. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I haven't eaten that day, so I ended up grabbing lunch, sitting down. My sister worked at the same restaurant. She was actually the one that got me the job. So I sat down and ate with her. And from there on, everybody at the restaurant loved me. They loved my hard work. They loved everything I did. But they just stopped calling me in because they weren't making a lot of money. Because of small restaurants, small town, restaurants on the coast, if you don't know how to really run it, not going to work well. So I kind of just stopped going there. So I went on to Indeed.com, some job seeking place, and I found that a hotel needed work. So I was like, I don't think I'd ever work at a hotel, but I was like, do you know what? It's work, it's money. They're guaranteeing hours, they're guaranteeing a job right now. The job title was pretty much laundry. So I was picking up dirty linen, dirty sheets, pillowcases, all that kind of stuff, taking it to the laundry room, washing machine room, grabbing clean sheets and everything, taking them to the rooms, taking them to like the storage closets. If they're short a couple maids, I could be maid, I could jump in, clean rooms and everything. I was maintenance as well, I was janitorial, I was everything. My description was laundry, but I was everything. Maid, I was front desk for a day once, and I was like, I don't know how to do any of this. A lot of training really fast for the front desk. Never gonna do that again. So I did this job for about 2 months, and I did get called out to a fire, and I was out at the fire for a day. And this fire was hell, because we were doing back burning, and pretty much we were back burning downhill. So we started back burning, and it burns downhill, but it like stops, and the wind starts blowing up. So the wind is blowing smoke towards us. So we were breathing in smoke all day. I finally got a huge headache. I started to vomit. So I was like, I walked up to my crew boss. I was like, I gotta lay down. I gotta like take a nap or something. Like, I'm gonna die out here. He's like, fine, lay down, I guess. So I lay down for about half an hour, and I started kind of feeling better, because I was in like a clear area where like trees are kind of like surrounding me, but like smoke couldn't get to me because smoke rises because it's hot. So I started working again, and then we leave. We're out there for like 16 hours that day. We're just breathing in smoke pretty much, and it sucked. Even eating lunch, I was sitting there digging with one hand. We got like 2-inch Subway sandwiches, eating it with that, holding our chips in our arms, eating a sandwich, holding all this crap. Only drinks we got was the water and the Gatorade in my back. Kind of sucked. I was expecting a lot longer. No. I didn't pack enough Gatorade, so I was drinking mostly water. So I had to ask other people for Gatorade so I could mix my Gatorade with my water to balance out my electrolytes or get more electrolytes. So that day goes past. Man, I still had a raging headache by the time we got back to our company office, and I had a huge headache. And I had ibuprofen in my car, so I was like, okay, I'm not on the fire line, I'm going to pop some ibuprofen. Popped 5 ibuprofen pills, I downed a can of Pepsi in like 3 seconds. I downed that so fast. In like 2 minutes, my headache was gone. I was like, thank God, because I had to drive home, but it was like an hour-long drive back to my house. So I get home, and I'm like, do I go to this fire? Because I could have gotten my ass up at 4 o'clock in the morning, been at the office at 5 o'clock in the morning, went back out to the fire the next day. So I was like, do you know what? No, I'm not doing it, which I think might have been the reason why I got fired. So the next day, I actually go to work for the hotel. So I work for the hotel, and I'm working for them for a little bit longer. I still don't get called out to any other fires. And the assistant boss calls me from the firefighting crew, and he's like, we're gonna have to lay you off. He had the biggest bullshit excuse I have ever heard. You're lazy, you're a health risk. I could see that, because I was having a tiny bit of health issues. I can explain all my other health issues. My first fire, which I didn't have, I had one major one, which wasn't even a major health issue. So he pretty much was like, yeah, there's ladies out here on the fire line that are working harder than you and blah blah all this. I'm like, literally all the women that worked for their fire crews were all loggers. So I was like, sir, all those women are out there logging constantly when they're not fighting fires. So they have all the physical agility to do all this. He's like, well, I don't want to hear all your excuses, so we're going to lay you off for being lazy. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you can, whatever. I'm working at this hotel, so I don't care anymore. So I go back to working at the hotel. I worked there for probably another month. And then college starts to roll around, so I quit my job at the hotel, which they didn't like that. They got pissed because I didn't put my 2 weeks in. So they called me and they're like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Portland, Oregon. And they're like, well, we thought you were coming in today. I was like, no, I quit like a week ago. And she's like, oh, I really wish you would have let us know that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that next time if I ever work for you. She's like, okay, whatever, bye. Yeah. So about 2 weeks later, college starts. And so I come to college, and I'm going to end the video right there, actually, because I'll talk about college in another video, because that's crazy. So my life is pretty crazy. It's not exciting, I guess.